Okay, we've all seen it, right? Someone pours their heart, soul, and every waking hour into a farm, only for it to fall apart. It's heartbreaking. Today, we're going to figure out why that happens.
So what is going on here? Why do the vast majority of these businesses, despite all that backbreaking work, just collapse within a few short years? This isn't just a random pattern. There's a real reason behind it.
And here's the thing that might surprise you. The reason for this massive failure rate? It almost never has to do with a lack of farming skill or not working hard enough. Nope. The real problem is buried much, much deeper, in the very foundation of how the thing is built.
And that brings us to what we're calling the agribusiness puzzle. Solving it starts with understanding a huge mistake a lot of people make about what a business even is.
When most people think about running a farm, this is what comes to mind: planting, feeding, spraying, harvesting, selling. And look, all of these things are absolutely essential. But, and this is a huge but, these are just activities. They are not a business.
And listen, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, make it this quote right here. Activities do not guarantee outcomes. A system does. Believing that just working harder at these tasks will magically lead to success is probably the single biggest and most fatal error in agribusiness.
So, okay, if just doing stuff isn't enough, then what is? Well, that brings us to the core idea here. We have to shift our thinking from activity to system. But what on earth does system even mean in this context? Let's break it down.
A system is a structure. That's the key word. It's like a machine with a bunch of interconnected parts, and it's specifically designed to give you predictable results. But here's the real test. It has to keep working even when you, the owner, are not there looking over its shoulder every second of the day. This quote, man, it hits hard. Just think about that for a second. If the whole thing grinds to a halt the minute you get sick or try to take a vacation, you haven't actually built a business. What you've really built is a very, very demanding job for yourself. It's just personal labor pretending to be an enterprise. So how do you actually build a real system? Well, it's not some kind of mystery. It has an anatomy, a blueprint. In fact, there are 5 non-negotiable parts that every single resilient agribusiness has to have. So let's get into them. Here they are, the 5 pillars of a solid business system. You've got inputs, transformations, outputs, feedback loops, and failure points. Seriously, think of these like the essential parts of an engine. If you're missing even one, the whole machine becomes fragile and is basically waiting to break down. All right, first up, inputs. This is literally everything that goes into the business. Now, there's the obvious stuff, right? Seeds, feed, water. But it's also the less obvious things that are just as critical. Your labor, your time, your knowledge, cash, credit, and even things like permits and the trust you have with suppliers. Here's the bottom line. If you can't map out all of your inputs, you simply cannot price your product correctly. Period. Next, we have transformations. This is the doing part. This is where the farming happens. It's turning seeds into crops or feed into weight gain. The key here, though, is that this process has to be governed by rules that are written down, clear protocols for feeding, planting, and treatments, not just gut feeling or hope. Because if all the rules only exist inside your head, your business can never, ever outgrow you. Number 3 is outputs, and this slide shows a massively important distinction. A farmer, a lot of the time, measures output in sheer quantity. Hey, we harvested 50 bags. But a business owner thinks in unit economics. Okay, but what was our actual profit on each bag? Shifting your focus from just volume to real profitability, that changes everything.
This quote, wow, it's a tough one. But it perfectly introduces our 4th component, feedback loops. So what's a feedback loop? It's simply how a system learns. It's the process of asking, what went wrong, why did it go wrong, and what are we going to do differently next time so it doesn't happen again? Without that, you're not gaining experience. You're just repeating your mistakes. It's just unanalyzed repetition. And finally, failure points. Look, every system has weak spots. The amateur just kind of hopes for the best and crosses their fingers. The professional plans for the worst. A truly resilient business knows where it's most likely to break. Maybe a supply chain delay, a disease outbreak, a price crash. And it designs the system to handle that failure, even building it into the budget instead of being shocked when it happens.
So what happens when these system components we just talked about are missing? Well, it's not just bad luck that makes a business fail. The collapse is caused by very specific, very predictable structural problems that are a direct result of a poorly designed system.
And here they are. You can think of these as the 4 horsemen of the agribusiness apocalypse. 1. The whole thing depends completely on the owner. 2. Nothing is written down, so critical knowledge just walks out the door when someone leaves. 3. There is zero cost intelligence. And 4. Decisions are made based on feelings, not on preset rules.
Let's just zoom in on that no-cost intelligence thing, because it is an absolute killer. I want you to ask yourself this question right now, seriously. Can you tell me precisely what your cost is per kilogram of produce, per bird, per hectare? If you can't answer that question instantly, you are flying completely blind, and your pricing is really just a guess.
You know, at the end of the day, building a real system requires a huge shift in how you think. It's all about learning to think like a business designer, not just a farmer. So let's look at 3 big mindset shifts.
First up, cash flow versus revenue. Farm thinking often focuses only on the cash you have in your pocket right now. Business thinking, on the other hand, focuses on revenue. That's all the money you've earned, even if you haven't been paid yet. This is so important because you can actually be profitable on paper, but go totally bankrupt because you ran out of cash.
Second, what's the goal? Is it just survival or is it profit? A lot of farms survive for years by not paying family members what they're worth, or by just quietly absorbing losses. But survival isn't success. Profit is the clear, objective signal that your system is actually well-designed and healthy.
And third, you have to understand the difference between expansion and growth. Expansion is just getting bigger, more land, more animals. But a lot of times, that just makes your existing problems bigger and your profit margins smaller. Real growth is about becoming more efficient and earning more per unit. It's about getting better, not just bigger.
And it really all comes down to this. This is the big takeaway. Agribusiness does not reward effort. It rewards design. You can put in all the hard work in the world, but it cannot save a poorly designed system. Before you worry about the soil, the seeds, or the funding, you have to get the structure right.
So we're going to end with a question, and I want you to really think about it. Take a hard look at your own operation. Is it just a collection of activities that depends 100% on you showing up every day? Or is it a real system, one that's designed for resilience, for predictability, and for profit? The answer to that question changes everything.